The moment she stepped into the quiet restaurant lobby, clutching her daughter's tiny hand and glancing nervously around, Evan Carlisle, CEO of one of Chicago's fastest-growing tech firms, felt something inside him shift. He didn't understand it at first. He had been staring down at his phone, buried in emails and numbers, confident that this day would be like any other business meeting he'd scheduled. But the second Claire Donovan walked in, soft-spoken, unsure, almost afraid of taking up space, he lifted his eyes and felt the world fall perfectly out of order. There were moments in life that arrived like lightning, impossible to predict yet impossible to forget, and this was one of them. Evan didn't know her, but as soon as she arrived, he could no longer imagine leaving without wanting to. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the beauty of unexpected connections, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts. Claire had never imagined sitting across from a CEO, much less someone like Evan, who looked more like a movie star businessman than a corporate executive. She was a single mother still rebuilding her life after walking away from a relationship that had drained her self-worth. She worked long shifts as a receptionist, balancing bills and daycare costs, always exhausted, always trying to stay hopeful for her daughter Mara, who was just 4 years old. The invitation for this meeting came unexpectedly through a friend who had admired Claire's organizational skills and gentle patience and mentioned her name when Evan's company needed community outreach voices for a new charity initiative. Claire had hesitated, terrified of being out of place, but she wanted a better life for her daughter, and opportunities were rare, so she gathered her courage and agreed. As they settled at the table, sunlight poured in through tall windows, giving the room a soft brightness that made everything feel strangely dreamlike. Claire smoothed the hem of her simple blouse, aware of how plain she must look next to Evan's tailored blazer and sharp features. But Evan didn't see plainness. He saw a woman who sat with quiet dignity, who spoke gently to her daughter, who radiated a warmth he hadn't felt in years. His life had become a cycle of boardrooms, deadlines, and expectations he couldn't escape. His success was enormous, yet he lived with a hollowness that never quite left him. With Claire's arrival, something softened. Even the air felt different. Little Mara climbed onto her chair with a burst of energy that broke the tension. She pointed excitedly at Evan, her face glowing with a familiarity that startled both adults. She remembered him, the man who had once helped her when she scraped her knee in the park. He had been a stranger then, offering quiet reassurance before disappearing into the crowd. Evan had forgotten that moment entirely, but Mara hadn't. Claire's eyes widened with embarrassment, worried the memory would seem childish or silly, but Evan felt something warm spread through his chest. It made him look at Claire again, more deeply, more curiously, as if fate had nudged their lives together long before this meeting. Throughout the lunch, Evan watched Claire carefully, not analyzing her like he did with clients or partners, but studying the gentle way she guided her daughter, the softness in her voice, the way she hesitated before speaking as if constantly afraid to say the wrong thing. She wasn't used to being valued. He could see that. Years of being talked over, overlooked, and underestimated had taught her to shrink herself. Mara, in contrast, was bright and fearless, a little spark of joy who pulled Claire forward every time she tried to retreat into the shadows. As the conversation unfolded, Claire opened up little by little, sharing her struggles and her hopes without even realizing her honesty was disarming Evan's carefully built emotional walls. She never asked for pity. She explained her life simply, how she juggled 2 jobs, how she dreamed of studying office management one day, how she wished she could give Mara more stability. Evan felt an ache he hadn't expected. He had everything, wealth, influence, a penthouse overlooking the lake, but sitting with Claire made him painfully aware of how much meaning he lacked. Yet Claire didn't see him as a savior or a man of power. She looked at him with genuine respect, without the awe or intimidation he was used to. She listened, asked thoughtful questions, and smiled softly when Mara made jokes that only a child could deliver with such seriousness. Evan, who rarely felt emotional in public, found himself enjoying every second more than he could explain. But the turning point came when Claire began describing her fear of failing her daughter. She spoke quietly, staring down at her hands, confessing how terrified she was of not being enough. She had no family nearby, no partner to share the burden, no guarantee that tomorrow wouldn't bring another financial setback. She was fighting a battle that felt endless. Evan listened with an intensity that surprised even him. He had always admired strength, but he realized then that strength didn't always look loud or bold. Sometimes it was the woman sitting across from him, wounded but trying, exhausted but hopeful, scared but still showing up for the one person who depended on her. In that moment, something inside him chose her, not romantically yet, not fully, but in a deeper way. He wanted to support her, uplift her, offer her the safety she had been denied for so long. He wanted Mara to laugh as freely as she was laughing now, without the weight of uncertainty pressing on her mother's shoulders. He wanted to be someone Claire could lean on, someone she no longer had to fear disappointing. By the time lunch ended, the room felt different. Claire was no longer tense. Mara was happily playing with her napkin holder, and Evan was looking at them with an expression that could only be described as quietly transformed. He made an offer, not a romantic one, but an opportunity. A job that matched her talents, flexible hours, training included, and a future she could build. Claire's eyes filled with tears she tried desperately to hide. No one had believed in her like that in a very long time. But Evan believed, deeply. As they stood to leave, Mara grabbed Evan's hand naturally, as though he belonged with them, and the way Claire watched that moment, the shy woman who had walked in feeling so small, was proof that this meeting had changed not just Evan, but her too. She had walked in shy, trembling with uncertainty, but she had left with something far greater than confidence. She had won not just the interest of a CEO, but the genuine respect and admiration of a man whose heart had been dormant for years. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these emotional stories continue. Before the ending, please comment below, do you believe shy people often have the strongest hearts? As Claire and Mara walked away that afternoon, the wind felt gentler and life felt lighter, as if the city itself was rooting for their new beginning. And Evan, standing by the restaurant window as they disappeared into the crowd, knew one thing for certain: sometimes the people who enter your life quietly, almost timidly, are the ones who change it forever.